Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to Let's Play Cities in Motion 2. I've really been wanting to play an actual game of this ever since it came out, and I figured, oh, tonight is a night. I'm just going to do one campaign mission, we'll see how far we can get, and I'm really looking forward to it. So we are in quite a large city. The cities in Cities in Motion can be really quite big. In fact, I think that they could be quite a bit bigger than that. I mean, obviously you can already see that there's a lot of space that hasn't even been used up yet. This city is partitioned into a series of little islands. Kind of makes me think a little bit of, something like Venice or something like that. I don't know. And we are tasked with bringing transportation here. We start with 100,000, I don't know, dollars, bucks, some sort of monies. And our first goal, or I don't know if this is our first goal or actually the goal of this particular campaign scenario, is simply to establish a 15% coverage over the city. Basically, we want, 15%. I believe the way it works is not actually like geometric coverage. I think it's something like 15% of the city's population has to be using your public transit to make it count. So looking quickly at the graphs, again, I haven't really played this game yet, so there's a lot of chance that I'm not going to be playing this first mission optimally. I'm playing on normal difficulty because I'm not a wuss who plays on easy, and I'm not quite good enough to play on expert. So we'll give it a try. The first thing I'd notice is that this area down here might be a really good candidate to start some basic transportation, because there's quite a bit of residential stuff here. And industrial stuff here. Not to mention, these yellow areas are, I believe, more commercial. If we go to white collar. Yeah, so white collar workers live in the green buildings here and then go to work over here in these sorts of, no, these are apartments. Tenements, apartments. All right, well, then where do they actually work? Oh, in these red areas over here. Ah. Yeah, and there's a couple of red areas here and there. But the blue-collar workers are going to be one of the first people because they live in these tenements, these sort of lower-end buildings, and they will work here in these sort of industrial areas. So that's probably going to be a fairly decent customer base. We might have to pick up a few people here. The population density is a little bit lower. But that's where I'm thinking the first, and I'm thinking I'm going to start with buses because they don't require a whole lot of work to get started, and that'll encourage people to start using public transit. And then we'll probably connect over here. I'm thinking a small depot here, a small depot here to run these sorts of areas, and then a couple of transit lines that might make the path back and forth, and then a couple of local lines. And we'll see how that goes, play it by ear. And then this main avenue here, on avenues, I really think I like the idea of running trams along them because you can place tram tracks in the middle of the avenues here, and that means that they won't block any traffic. Right, because this was very obvious in the original Cities in Motion is, you might think, oh, there's traffic, things are slow. I know, I'll add more buses, right? And that just means the traffic problem gets worse and worse and worse. So you actually don't want to overdo it. You want to start, relatively casual to go. Anyway, let's get started with the building here. One of the things I did notice in a little bit of a test run is that sometimes there can be a bit of a bottleneck going in and out of the depot. So while before I was putting the depot sort of like on a main road here, I think it might be better, and this is similar to some of the tricks you do in SimCity, to actually move the depot kind of out of the way a little. And unless I am wrong, it doesn't look like depots act as stops. People will not come to the depot to ride a bus, for example. Depots act purely as depots in that these are a place where the trucks are stored or the buses are stored when they're not in use, and when it's time for maintenance, for example, right? So that's what the depots are for. The buses all start and stop there, but other than that, they don't really seem to serve a purpose. So I thought maybe I'll stick it off over here, and hopefully that'll be okay. I mean, there's a chance there'll be a little bit of a bottleneck at the intersection, but I think it's going to be okay. I suppose the other possibility might be to stick it somewhere over here or here, but we'll go. The other thing, I'm going to start with the basic bus depot. You can upgrade from one to another very easily. Once you've placed it down, well, I'll show you all. I'm going to place it right here. It's going to just attach to the road. Then if I were to go back here and choose the large bus depot, if I hover over the actual little square showing the stats, so not on the building itself, but on the little square, you'll see the building turns green. It shows me what the upgrade cost is, so I can always upgrade. The only difference between the two depot sizes is the number of buses they can fit inside of themselves. So the basic bus can hold 10, and the large bus depot can hold 20 at once. And that's mostly comes up in the evening, because a lot of times your buses don't run in the evenings, or at least they don't run as frequently, so more of them will store up in the depot, and then you can sort of get a bit of a bottleneck there. But there we go. Anyway, I'm going to start and place some stops now, and I'm going to start with the basic bus stops. Now, there's some indication that while the bus stops also make people happier, depending on what class of citizen you are trying to service, you want higher end bus stops. So the lower wealth people, the working class, blue collar people, are fine with a basic bus stop, but then above that they need a little bit more. And then the other thing is, when you build your line, you can basically click the bus lines in, or the bus stops in any order, and it'll figure out the best way to kind of traverse everything using some sort of, I don't know, variant of the traveling salesman solution or something. I don't know what, but it'll figure out a pretty decent route. But you still want to put some thought into the direction of the stops. You want to try to visualize what kind of route you might want the buses to take, so that you sort of place them down in a sensible way. So often I'll either do a bunch of stuff in one direction and form a loop. So I'll have a bunch of things going, like, I guess, counterclockwise. So this road, everything would go to the right, and this road, everything would go to the left. And then if I put a route that used all those bus stops, the bus would naturally just make a big circle. The other thing I sometimes do is alternate, so you get the bus that sort of zigzags. It's probably not as optimized, but it certainly works. And then the other thing you can do is just put down tons and tons of bus stops, and then when you're actually creating your line, you'll really be able to see what's going on. And I should really pause. Okay, I was paused, because I didn't want any maintenance to sort of kill me here. And of course, the circle shows you the coverage. So, you know what? Maybe I'll actually go the sort of north-south direction, which wasn't what I'd pictured initially, but it actually should work pretty well. If we do that. Of course, your one-way routes and things will really impact. Overlap is slightly, like, unoptimal, but I know it's not the end of the world. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else, and now I've forgotten. Oh, well. Oh, one-way streets, yeah. That will impact what routes things can take, especially that it was definitely an issue when placing down tram tracks, because I was very confused, like, why isn't this working? I thought this would work, and then it turned out that the real problem is just that there was a bunch of one-way streets and it was screwing me up. So this road was going north. We'll build a few things going sort of southish over here, and that way when we create our lines, we can really just sort of pick and choose, and no matter what, it means there'll be some fairly reasonable routes for them to use. I might go two ways up here. So now we need some stuff going north, I think. Something like that. And yeah, then you get like random kind of awkwardness, and that's okay. I mean, that's how buses work in real life. Like, if you look at actual bus maps, they are just ziggy-zaggy all over the place. All right, so we got a fair amount of coverage here, and we'll sort of finish this area over here. And we've got some bus stops. I'm going technically in the wrong direction for my plan, so this is maybe more of a northy thing. Put that there. Something like that. And we'll worry about this area later. And then we will set up our construction area. There's pretty nice sort of east-west thing here, so maybe I'll do it that kind of setup. Oops, that was the wrong way. I can come back and bulldoze that if I want to cut down on the maintenance. Not that I think that these are terribly expensive. And then what we're going to want to do later on, after I set up all the lines, is just keep an eye out. This part I know is a little bit dull. Oops. Is just double oops. Is just keep an eye out for anything that's not connected to any line, and clean it up or come back and reconnect. Okay, so we've got a fair amount of stuff there. That is good. We're going to go into transportation panel. We're going to create a new line for our buses, and then we are going to add stops to it. We're going to start with the depot, and then I don't know. You know, usually I create a lot of small lines, which worked really well in the original Cities in Motion, but now I'm wondering if it shouldn't be just one big line. They're going to be pretty big loops. I guess people, if in that case, people might be on the bus for a really long time, and that's not necessarily great. And then it would be nice if there was something that felt like it was an interchange between the two. And I don't know what stop is ideal. This stop might actually work really well as something that services a junction for the residential buses and then the industrial buses, so that they all meet up. Okay, let's make this line do the western half of the residential area. So click, click, click. I don't know if you guys can see, but it shows me the blue line of the route. And then again, when I mouse over, so I can, excuse me, that's a really good way of seeing that all your buses are working the right way, because every now and again you'll mouse over and there'll be this really weird loop-the-loop that all of a sudden happens, and you'll realize that the reason that happened is because one of your stops might be on the wrong side of the road. Like here, right? If I was trying to go from here to here and you see this big loop, you realize there's a problem. But in this case, it's actually okay. This one is actually really quite awkward. Oh, because this is on a bridge. So that's not really going to be super accessible from these particular buses. Go there. And then have it recome here, I guess. Which is technically fine. And then hit the bus depot. So now it's a complete route, and it needs, based on its current schedule, it figures it needs about 4 buses to services. I'm actually going to slow down the timetable just a little bit, especially early on. I don't think this updates dynamically, which is too bad. But I'll go every 3 hours, so 3 buses, and that is fine. Now what we actually have to do to make that happen, there's no shortcut to just, can we click on this depot? Oh, we can. And then you can buy buses by the depot. And that's the thing, buses are owned by a depot, and then as the lines require the buses, they will be taken out of this storage here. So we will need at least 3 buses to run this line, so let's go ahead and buy 3 of those. And I find, this is probably going to be okay to get started. Later on, we definitely need to replace these, but I think it's going to be okay. We'll go and get 3 of them. Now, one of the things that I noticed in a couple of my tests is under economy panel, let me close these tabs, under the workers, the employee, the bus driver, they allow up to 50% overcrowding, which does make people unhappy. You know, how much of a problem is this overcrowding or not? I don't know. I think I'm going to drop it down just a scooch here. We'll check the ticket prices too. Now, the color coding. Oh, there we go. There's the price color coding. Okay. So what do these represent? The one line, or single line, one zone, 2 zones, all zones. So this is the price if the path that the passenger is taking only takes a single bus line. They pay $1. And a zone, well, what's a zone? Well, you can actually paint the zones here. And by default, everything is in the yellow zone. But what we can do is we could define this, maybe this whole southern area, I think this is the south, as the blue zone. So then the ticket, so then there's a separate ticket, it's $1.50 for, you can take as many lines as you want as long as you stay within the same zone. So people who live here and are trying to get here might have to take 2 buses to do it. But then it would pay the one zone price, and whether that's ideal or not. And then there's the 2 zones, which would be to cross from one zone into the other, and then another ticket price for all zones. You can go across the entire city on one ticket. So we might experiment with that a little bit later on. It's kind of a more advanced thing, and I don't know if... certainly our city's not going to be mature enough to require it at this time. However, what I will do is I will go and drop the ticket prices down to the point where they just hit green. This is for... Oh, this is if they're just using one service. So this is just your bus price, and this is if you're using different services to get through. And that's why there's no single line, because this implies more than one line. What does this do? Oh, it changes all prices. Yeah, okay. I'll just drop it so that it's everything. There we go. Those guys anyway. Oh, this don't matter quite as much because we don't have any of these yet, but we may as well just drop it down. I really want to encourage the bus travel to get started, and then we can raise prices a little bit later on. I suppose I can unpause at this point and let it go, and then we're going to see our buses start to go, but I'm not going to rest at this point because I want to start a second bus line. And we're going to go like fast forward at some point once we get it started. But one thing for sure, I want both of these bus lines to share this sort of middle set of stops, because this is where people can sort of trade from one line to another. So we're going to do a ziggy-zaggy. Again, I don't know, you know, they should straighten out and figure out the best route to kind of get around. I don't think they order based on the clicks. It might be a good time to give it a test, actually. What happens if I go, so from there to here, oops, I'm not in ad mode. From there to here, to back to there. And let me hide the other line. Well, it does show that, but I don't think it stays that way. Can I rearrange it? I think they smarten it up afterwards. I'm not sure. I might be completely wrong. May as well put them in order. Like that. Swing back down this way. Decent enough. All right. And this is running. This thinks it needs 4 buses, but again, we're going to turn the interval up to every 3 hours, so it'll need 2. So this will actually have a shortage of buses right now at some point because there'll be 3 buses on each line operating, so there'll be a little bit of a thing. So I'm going to just throw in, I'm going to go ahead and throw in 3 buses now. They're going to get used at some point, so that'll be okay. All right, so we've got that. Now we can, there you go. See the yellow? I don't know if you can tell on YouTube, but the number here is in yellow, and this is because this stop is not assigned to any line. So you keep an eye out for that, and you're like, oh yeah, why? Is that good? Is it bad? Do I want it? You know, if you don't want it, you can use the bulldoze tool, which I thought was hotkeyed to B, but apparently I'm wrong. Get rid of that, you know, something like that. But we still need to keep adding lines. Oh, this is the visibility of the lines right now, so I can, right now I can see all my bus lines. All right, all the blue lines, and that can get messy later on, so you can turn them all on and off, or individuals on and off. So I'm going to leave line 3 visible because that's the one I'm adding to. So it's going to start from here, and then it's going to actually, hold on. It's going to hit a stop. Actually, these stops are on all lines, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're going to add this stop, and then we're going to go and hit our industrial area. I don't know what kind of order. Right, I guess we want to go this way. Maybe just the one bus line for the entire industrial area is going to be perfectly fine. We'll see how it goes. So what we can always do, right? Again, it's a long loop, but theoretically, it's picking up everyone from work and then driving them back to the sort of main line. Or to flip it the other way around is, yeah, we'll do that too, just for cuz. Or the other way around is the other bus lines have picked up all the passengers, all the residential passengers, and then is going to bring them to work. So there you go. So this is going to need 5 vehicles, and we'll drop this down 2.5 hours, so 4 vehicles can service that perfectly acceptably. And the number, by the way, at these stops is how many people are waiting to actually take the buses. So right now there's not a lot, you know, just 1 or 2 here and there, but this will start to add up. You can see on some of these buses that people aren't happy, and at first I find that's usually, if I click on the actual list of passengers, they're complaining that the vehicle was late. And I find that happens most of the time on the first run because you haven't bought the vehicles yet or whatever, so they've been waiting a few minutes while the vehicles get purchased and actually leave the depot. But then that'll clear up. And if it's anything like the original Cities in Motion, don't worry too much about the unhappy faces unless it becomes really, really bad. People will always be kind of a little bit cranky, and again, if you try to satisfy them by throwing more buses at the problem, you'll tend to just kill the traffic situation anyway. So, can we get information about where they want to go? Working place, factory. So that's right here. Starting point over here. So you can see exactly where they travel to and from all the time. And it's very, very handy, actually, because you can start to get a feel like, okay, so-and-so's unhappy. Now, here's an example of a bus that's overloaded, right? It's got the 13 people because we're allowing a certain amount of overcrowding. You know, good or bad, I don't know. And here it's complaining about the lack of buses. So we've got 6 in total. So we can easily go up to say 4, right? And that even at night, if there's no buses running, we've got enough capacity over here. If we went over that, there's a risk that we might go over capacity and like actually cause a kind of a bottleneck here as buses are waiting to go in and get serviced at night. I'm not going to suggest that's the end of the world. And of course, you can always upgrade to a bigger depot. You can end up building more depots and then using them as a source and all that. So I got a nice little lovely section over there. See some people here are cranky about waiting. This is at a stop. Waiting time was too long. No stats on the actual wait time? That's too bad. You can rename everything. You can rename all the lines, which is I find really, really handy. Renaming the stops, I'm not sure, or the buses, I'm not entirely convinced is a good use of time. But renaming the lines is pretty good, especially for the stuff that's just that's not local. Like when I create the second thing over here and we get some east-west sort of buses going on, that'll be some real value there. Anyway, speaking of which, let's get started on that. I'm gonna go. I'll build the depot down here because again, it's a little bit lower population area. We'll try to keep the game on a higher speed as well. So we've got that. We've got to put down a bunch of stops once more. So let's assume we've got the sort of, yeah, again, the sort of counterclockwise general flow. We're going to focus on that whenever possible. Offset them just a little bit. And you can place your stops in any order. Oh, we got a side quest. We're going to check that out. What do you want? Sup, dude? Yeah, man. It's like pollution. It's totally uncool, right? Look, dog. How's about upping the metro network? Oh, so he wants metros. Metros, of course, being your sort of light rail transit, right? If it's underground, it's a subway. If it's above ground, it's, I don't know, light rail, I guess. Goes like this. So I guess we're going to need some more that go like that. You know, it's nighttime, which is pretty. All right. Good. So, over here, and there's no way for me to just launch a line from here. I guess it makes sort of sense, but it's still kind of annoying. All right, add stops. Maybe we'll just, should we just do one? I don't know, I still feel like that's just going to create too long of a loop. Not even convinced that this is a very efficient line. Whoa! Oh, these bus stops are on the opposite side of the road from what I'm thinking of. I don't think this is a very good line, but what the hell. Just put it down, and that's okay. And then we'll create a new line right away. I know we don't actually have buses, so people are going to be cranky about it. Again, we want a little bit of crossover between the lines. Alright. Again, non-efficient route, but screw it. Buy buses. We want to cut the timetable down just a little. And on line 4 as well. You know, we'll probably need to up this later, but again, we're not going to rush. So now they need a total of 6 buses. Boom. There we go. So we got the buses. And you know, there's lots of ways to access the data. If I click on the depot, I can see all the bus lines, I can see all the buses, I can click on a bus, I can move the bus to a different depot. So if you've got a lot of idle buses at one, you can ship them off somewhere else that's busier. You've got, you know, all kinds of options like that, which is very nice and very handy. Let's see, bus depot number, and you can click on this over here and get some more buses. I'm not sure if it's the end of the world. What do you want? Just open a brand new casino, the biggest one in the city. Has plenty of parking for limos and such, but I want to attract people from all walks of life. You can set up a direct route here. Transport 50 people to the nightclub. So you can click on this. It's a reward of 2,500 bucks in cash, which is pretty good. We've got a casino way over here. Well, we're going to get there. In fact, I think we're going to build some tram traffic. Oh, it's way over there. Wow, that is pretty impressive. Still, we really could build an awesome set of trams that just like... I'm envisioning like having a depot here and just running one huge tram line all the way to the other end and back. You know, I don't know, if that's going to be efficient, but hopefully. And then have maybe buses running the east-west route. So that's how people will sort of connect to different places. We'll see if that's a good idea or not. I don't know. So, right, so that's going. So we're probably losing money right now. Right, we can take a look at that over here. Yeah, not too much so far, which is pretty good, but it's gonna kick in quite a bit soon enough. There are a lot of people waiting at this bus stop. Oh, they just got picked up. But if you click on them, you can find out which bus line they're waiting for too. So you get tons of useful information. There's actually quite a few people riding the buses. A lot of them are full. Some of them are completely empty, and some of them are overflowing, which is a little odd. I need this bus stop right now. It's not being serviced anyway. Same with this one here. All right. Neither is this one here, which actually feels like a bit of a mistake. Maybe we'll leave it for now, and we'll consider going back to it later. And unhappy people, but that should resolve itself pretty quickly. All right. So I want to build this tram thing. So I have to build a tram depot somewhere. I lost the ability to zoom. There we go. You know, and it works just like everything else. Now, of course, the tram depot will need tram lines running to it. And the other thing I like to do is make sure that I have a bus stop near a tram stop so that they can service each other, right? That's important, so that people will get off the tram, get on a bus, and keep going places. Now, again, it depends on their class. People only have so much money they're willing to spend on this sort of stuff. So, you know, there's certain limitations there. I suppose I could put the depot here on this road, run tram tracks around the corner here. That way it gives it a nice sort of loop to turn around. Although I guess they can get in the tram depot to turn around, now that I think about it. If that's the end. I could put one depot at one end and one way at the other, and then I don't have to worry about actually building a loop. That might work out very nicely. Alright, we'll do something like that. So, let's, we're going to go back to normal speed for now. We're going to go to trams. We're going to build a basic tram depot. Come out right over here. And then we're going to switch to tram tracks. Oh, that's under the road tool, tram tracks, and I'm going to go ahead and build the double track. And it's very important, you'll notice when you're laying this down, there's like two places you can put this. You can have it on the inside or the outside. And I think on the inside, I don't think these can be serviced by stops, which are on the sidewalks here. So you have to be on the outside. And then on the other hand, when you get to the avenue, again, you've got these 3 lanes. Oh no, you've only got the 2 lanes available, which is kind of interesting. But what works really well is you can put them in the middle here. And this can be serviced by stops. And then you don't have to worry about blocking any traffic whatsoever. So I think that's really, really, really nice. So we're going to build that there. And then here we'll build on the outside because we're going to want some stops accessible here. And then we can go into the middle. And then I just have to make sure to keep sort of clicking in the middle. If for some reason you misclick and you've got to undo and you're worried, you're wondering why you can't connect, what you can do is you can click on one tram segment and then click on the next step. Oh, that's a one-way going the wrong way. That's why I can't demonstrate what I'm looking to demonstrate here. Alright, so I can click here and then I can go over here and it'll continue the road. There we are. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm just going to go straight down the alley. Or not the alley, the avenue. You have to be even sort of more precise and finicky when you are putting down the stops on this, because you can put the stops on the sidewalk where they're not going to help you, or you can put them in the middle, which is exactly where you want them. And we're going to continue down this way. This way. It is going to cost a lot of money to do this, but hopefully we will turn a profit once we have done so. Now, the nice thing about the tram stops as well is they cover a very, very large radius. People will walk quite far to get to your tram stops. That's kind of awkward. And where's our station going to be? Maybe over here. So we will maneuver our way. Why can't I put it on the outside here? Well, that's okay. We'll just won't put a stop here, and that's fine. And let me put another depot. How much money we got? We can always take out loans, too. Basic tram depot. Oh, no! Well, the other side of the road. Gonna lose some buildings, but it's not the end of the world. People don't need to live there anymore. I have decreed it. Bus depot number 2 doesn't have enough vehicles. Alright, let's give them each one. Oh, it went away. We'll see if we get another warning. It's probably very, very intermittent. Alright, so we've got that down. Now we want to put down the stops. So we are on tram stops. Important not to screw those up. And yeah, the area is really, really large. So, and what I'll probably do is, I like to put them kind of in pairs. Well, I don't know, maybe we'll just alternate. And again, when you're zoomed out this far, it can be a little bit difficult to get them the way you want. Which direction was that? It was going up, so now I want one going down. And then I want one going up. You know, I don't know how this will work in a video. But it's actually quite fun to play on your own because you're just sort of thinking about all these moves. I guess we can put one a little more like that. Like that. Wait. I lost my tram track somewhere. Oh, there we go. Did I put any stops there? No. Good. Excellent. Down. Then up. Then down. And I don't know, maybe I should have them like more frequent. Maybe they'll prefer one stop over another. I'm not sure. These are all fairly new things. Okay, and then we've got this over here. Okay, I like it. Now let's go and build our line and add stops. So we're going to start here. Ooh, not that one. So yeah, it actually won't let us do it. Because there's no actual loop in the route, it won't figure out a way to do it. But when we stick the other depot onto our route, it should let us flip around at that point. I think. Go here. Then we've turned around. Excellent. So now we're going to do the stops on the opposite side. So we're probably going to need a fair amount of trams to service this, although I'll probably have to set a fairly high interval at first because I don't know, without the interconnections, I don't know how many people will actually be using it. We'll see how it goes. You can always add more trams, or rather add bigger trams later on. Okay, and then we end there. So it wants 6 vehicles, but we're going to cut it back. We're going to go to every 3 hours. Again, it wants 4 vehicles. That suits me okay. So we're going to go and we're going to start again with this, just the small ones, the cheaper ones, and get that going. So we should see tram go? Or what time is it? Oh, it's 2200 hours. I bet you they just don't run right now. Timetable? Yeah, it ends at 2200 hours, so we don't have any overnight service. And you know what? Maybe we could for the... maybe we could for these guys. Alright, we can have slightly different configurations for different times and whatever, but... I don't know. Trams running all night? Some countries do it. There's just not going to be that much traffic at night, so you're spending a lot of money and not really getting a lot of return for it. Okay, I guess we'll just fast forward for now. So hopefully there's enough crossover here. People should walk from this bus stop to here and vice versa. I'm pretty sure you're going to get that cross traffic. And I think we've set up a decent route here. So now what we could really do is just start building those side-to-side things. But I'm actually going to cut this video here and be back soon. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.